So TMZ just reported that Justin Baldoni's attorney, Ryan Reynolds, for trying to dismiss lawsuit. It states that Ryan Reynolds is trying to run from the very firestorm he helped ignite by trying to get cut out of the legal battle between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, his wife, at least according to Justin's attorney. Brian Friedman is blasting Ryan for filing a request to dismiss Baldoni's lawsuit against him, telling TMZ Mr. Reynolds' exploitation of his enormous power in Hollywood continues, this time arrogantly asking to be dismissed from the case despite publicly documented involvement, extending far beyond just being a supportive spouse. Mr. Reynolds was a key player in the scheme, defaming Justin around Hollywood, strong-arming WME into dropping Justin as a client, and trying to completely destroy Justin's career however possible. As TMZ reported, Ryan filed the dismissal documents Tuesday, calling Justin thin-skinned for complaining the so-called Nicepool character from Deadpool and Wolverine was mocking him. But Friedman says Reynolds trying to skate is laughable because his fingerprints have been all over the smear campaign against Justin and the Wayfarer team since day one, including Jamie Heath. Mr. Reynolds now attempts to reduce plainly concisable claims to hurt feelings, sending a clear message that bullying is acceptable. He also adds, after lighting a match, Mr. Reynolds now seeks to run from the flames. It won't work. The Wayfarer party's claims against him are real and they are serious. Mr. Reynolds can appear on as many sketch shows as he wants and feebly try to make light of his current situation, but we will not stop until he is held accountable for his actions. The sketch show's reference calls out Ryan for his SNL 50 appearance with Blake Lively, where he and his wife very clearly mocked their legal drama with Justin. Ryan Reynolds wants to be dismissed from Baldoni's lawsuit with prejudice, which could mean it can't be refiled at any point. Clearly, Justin's legal team is vehemently opposing that. For anyone wanting to know exactly what that's about, Candace Owens also shows in the video this little excerpt of an interview that Ryan Reynolds did talking exactly about this character, Nicepool, which is, you have to read it, and you can feel free to pause to read it. But that's pretty, because this came from a limited edition lithograph. This special box set, it was like a collector's edition thing. Only so many of them are made. And inside of that is a very specific interview that Ryan Reynolds hadn't given at any other point. It was specific to this limited edition Deadpool versus Wolverine fan, whatever it is, special lithograph card, special edition of the movie, whatever it is. But that was in there, and that's where he speaks about his real feelings about Nicepool and what really was the inspiration for that character. And you cannot deny that that is all about his internal feelings about Justin Baldoni. But also, when you look at the credits for the movie, It Ends With Us, and I have showed this over and over again. Okay, it says Miss Lively would like to give a special thanks to these people. Well, she gives a special thanks to Gordon Reynolds down at the bottom. Well, who is Gordon Reynolds? Well, when you go to Deadpool versus Wolverine credits and you look at the character for Nicepool, it says Gordon Reynolds. Gordon Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds, because that is him with the long fake wig and the little man bun. That is him playing the character Nicepool, not Deadpool. So instead of being Ryan Reynolds, he named it Gordon Reynolds. So they're literally putting this in the credits of not only Deadpool versus Wolverine, but in the credits of the movie It Ends With Us. Justin Baldoni and his production company, Wayfarer Productions, rightfully bought the rights to the movie It Ends With Us. And I believe the sequel, It Starts With Us, from Colleen Hoover. Now, Colleen Hoover in December of 2024 created her own production company. So she clearly plans on keeping the rights to many of her other books and turning them into films herself. But Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath rightfully purchased the rights to It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us. Therefore, he had every right to make the film. And he spent over 5 years doing a lot of work with DV survivors, talking to them about their experiences and really delving into this to try to make this book into the best visual movie that it could, so that way fans can say, I absolutely loved the movie, the movie rendition, the visual rendition of this book. So he really wanted to do it justice, and he spent many, many, many years on it. And I think that's really telling of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds to do this, not only using credits in a movie to publicly shame or humiliate somebody, but they're doing it on his own movie. The fact that at his own movie's premiere, that he had to be in the basement with his wife, his parents, his in-laws, his closest loved ones and friends, just because Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds was in attendance at their premiere, and he couldn't be up there knowing that it would be this big thing. That's pretty telling. That's pretty telling that he had to do that on his own film, where he legally and rightfully purchased the rights to the movie, just to try to avoid any kind of conflict or drama with Blake Lively or Ryan Reynolds. But then they're doing things like this. And then he actually has the nerve to ask for special privilege to be completely dropped from the lawsuit. Well, you're named in it because you're very much a part of it. This is going to backfire really poorly on him. But the thing with this is, with Hollywood, a lot of people have come to realize that people in Hollywood are idolized, and they're put on these pedestals because they play these characters, or they're our favorite musicians, or our favorite dancers, our favorite artists. And the thing is people are realizing that a lot of times the people that are in the A-list stratosphere in Hollywood, or even some of the higher B-list stratosphere of celebrity, that a lot of times it takes narcissistic people to be at that level. Could you imagine being in service to yourself, your image, your persona? Anybody that is who they truly say they are doesn't need a PR machine, doesn't need an image, doesn't need a persona, because you'd be relying on the fact that you just are who you say you are. But it's really, now the whole Hollywood thing, it's slowly dismantling. And it's because people in society are tired of being treated like they are not intelligent enough to see what is before them, to not do their own research and their own homework. People are tired of being treated like that, being told what to think, being told what is and what is not, when clearly you can hear and see and read for yourself and really compose your own opinions, thoughts, feelings, and expressions based on that. So with this, it clearly screams, I don't want to be exposed for who I really am. Because if you didn't do anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. You have nothing to worry about. You would go in there and into the court and you would comply, you would cooperate, and you would just want this to be over with. But after the fact, after all of this drama has ensued we know that it's publicly come out since August of 2024, but this has been going on for well over 2 years. But just to take that way, I don't want any part of it now. You don't get to do that. You don't get to infringe on somebody else's rights and do the things that you did and then say, I don't want any part of it now because I'm getting all the backlash from the public and from the press. Make that make any sense? So I'm curious to see how this is going to play out and what is going to happen with this. I didn't really have an opinion either which way, but once we've seen over 31 pieces of Blake Lively's complaint be completely dismantled with the actual exhibits that were given to the court as proof, as exhibits in the case, and seeing that, well, if those many of the 31 things that she was alleging are not true, how many more of them are not true? Because if you're not being honest about that many pieces, I'm just going to go ahead and say, and it's pretty safe to assume, that the rest of it's not true either. Because like I said, this is not Casey Anthony. This is not where the truth lies. You don't get to pick and choose little bits and pieces of the truth mixed with a whole bunch of non-truth.